How do you persuade your competitors and colleagues to comply with copyrights and contract provisions? Hi, I'm attorney Gordon Firemark, and this is Asked and Answered, where I answer your entertainment law questions so you can take your career and business to the next level. I got this inquiry from a gentleman who serves on the board of directors for a nonprofit theater company. He says, "We have a code of conduct that our members sign which asks us to speak up if we see anything illegal happening in the theater community. Until recently, our members were willing to sign this code, but there are reservations now because our newest members found themselves involved with productions which broke the law. No one wants to speak up out of fear of being ostracized in an already fragmented community. But if we don't, then these violations will continue until one day they'll get caught and closed down. The compromise we've reached among ourselves is to simply ask the producers of shows which violate copyright if they're allowed to do what they're doing. But I don't think this is enough for them to protect themselves. The reason I am contacting you is to get advice on how to convince other companies to honor the copyrights and contracts of other artists and companies before they get in trouble on their own." Well, first of all, I applaud your conscientious approach. It's actually quite rare, I'm afraid. Now, generally, I don't think it's really your obligation to police other companies' compliance, unless their actions impact your company. Now, if that's the case, then I see it as an absolute obligation and probably a dereliction of duty for a nonprofit board to ignore those kinds of threats. Competitors doing shows without paying for the rights or in violation of the license agreements does put your company at a disadvantage. Complying with the law has a cost, so those companies are spending less to achieve the things that you pay full freight to do. Not fair. So how do you convince folks to respect copyrights and contracts? Well, all you can really do is ask. You don't want to be the tattletale in the fragmented community you mentioned, but if you do suspect that they're not in compliance, you could let them know that you're going to check with the copyright owners about whether their productions are properly licensed. Or you could also find a copyright-friendly local reporter and anonymously tip him or her off when you suspect a show isn't properly licensed. You could also write editorials and blogs and those kinds of things, and maybe take out some ads in programs to educate the public. Basically, you want to appeal to the community and the patrons of the theater community to support the shows that are doing things legally and not to support those that aren't. But ultimately, can you really influence them? I don't know. Until they get slapped with a nasty gram from, the publisher's lawyers or a lawsuit, they're not going to see the error of their ways. That's what it's going to take in many cases. Now, you might point out to them in advance that a single lawsuit could cost a company its entire existence. Lawyers' fees alone could easily be more than the budget for an entire season for a small theater company. And the damage award in a successful copyright infringement suit could go as high as $150,000 per infringement. And there's some question whether per infringement doesn't really mean per performance. So it could be pretty significant, and maybe that will be the deterrent you're looking for. Now, if you have a question you would like to see here on Asked and Answered, just visit firemark.com/questions and let me know. I'll see you next time.